Tennis can be a very strange sport. Let's get straight into some of the weirdest tennis moments ever seen on court. Let's kick off this video with incredibly weird behavior from Djokovic against Del Potro. To be honest, I have no idea what happens here. There seems to be something other than Novak himself controlling his movements, as he sends his limbs about with no control. Is Djokovic drunk? Is he being possessed by some sort of demon? Is he a cyborg glitching? We'll never know. In this clip, Nick Kyrgios has a bizarre crowd interaction.
Are you good at tennis? Exactly, so why are you speaking? If I tell him how to act? No.
It seems that the actor Ben Stiller said something that the Australian didn't appreciate, and Kyrgios responded in Kyrgios fashion, saying that he doesn't tell Ben Stiller how to act. It's not exactly clear whether Nick is joking or not, making the moment even weirder. To be fair, it would be weirder for Kyrgios to be quiet during a match. Sometimes weird is wonderful. In this clip, Kyrgios hits one of the best and most unusual smashes you will ever see. This reverse smash requires insane wrist control, and it is totally unreturnable for the opponent. Whatever you think of Kyrgios, he is incredible at trick shots. On first viewing, this might just look like a very exciting point. However, during this exchange, a string broke on Andy Murray's string. That didn't stop him winning the point incredibly, as he defended brilliantly against Benneteau. A broken string leads to a far less control for the player, so it's shocking Murray managed to win this point. Andy definitely seems proud of himself at the end of this point. Grunting is normal on the tennis court, in both the women's and men's game. However, in this match between Gasquet and Berlocq, they seem to be having a grunt-off. Berlocq especially seems to be putting all his power into his grunts, and he eventually bests his opponent in the point and in the grunt-off. Surely grunting like that isn't necessary. You may know Sam Groth as the fastest server in the history of tennis, clocking in one serve at 164 miles per hour. After losing this match, Groth calmly snaps his racket in two, shaking his opponent's hand, and then sends his racket into the neighboring forest, without even looking angry. I wonder if a tennis racket tree is growing there now. In this clip, Tomic showcases his unconventional tennis style. He hits a disguised drop shot on his forehand with a bizarre yet massively effective swing. The drop shot itself isn't that amazing, but the way he hides it and deceives his opponent is sensational. Benneteau is in disbelief after seeing Lord Tomic doing that. Alexander Bublik is one of a kind on the tennis tour. Here he expects to win the point easily, so he hits the ball with the grip of his racket rather than the head. He loses his point and is left with egg on his face. What was going through his mind? I can't help but love that weird man. Anger and frustration is common on the tennis court, but to this extent it certainly is unusual. Zapata Miralles is furious with himself, first hitting himself, then ripping his shorts, because he didn't bring a spare pair of shorts with him. He didn't have anything to wear on his legs and therefore got defaulted. Watching a player hurt themselves like that makes for uncomfortable viewing. In this clip, Rafael Nadal suddenly walks off in the middle of speaking. There's a reason for this: lactic acid. Nadal is suffering from a cramp after the match, and anyone who has had cramps before knows how painful they are. He gets back to the questions after, like professional he is, of course. Actually, the second time this has happened to Nadal after a cramp in an interview in the US Open in 2011. In this 2020 Rome tournament, Monfils is facing Kupfer when the lights inexplicably turn off in the middle of a point. The umpire calls let, and the point will be replayed. Incredibly, the same thing happens again later on center court. Monfils showing us he has great comedic timing. We've all done it, catching a ball before it bounces out on a tennis court. However, we haven't all done it in a professional doubles match. That's what Feliciano Lopez does here, losing himself and Andy Murray the point with a very silly mistake. Murray is completely confused, and Lopez looks very sheepish. For this point, Corentin Moutet is only allowed to hit 3 shots to win the point because of weird American rules. He clearly hits 4 shots and then completely loses his ability to count. He argues with the umpire and his opponent for a while before finally realizing that he is indeed in the wrong. A tennis player apologizing to the umpire for their mistake? A rare sight indeed. For this shot, Jumor receives a dubious honor of hitting the worst ever drop shot in professional tennis history. The ball barely moves at all, only just getting past his own baseline. He immediately knows he's hit a stinker of a shot. At least he sees the funny side of it. Just watch this sensational point between Diego Schwartzman and Gael Monfils. After some fantastic shots from both players, Monfils throws his racket to get the ball back in the court. He then uses his hand as a racket, losing the point but winning in the eyes of the crowd. Look at that embrace and those smiles. This is great tennis. From great but crazy shots to crowd interactions, equipment malfunctions, those were some of tennis's weirdest moments. What did we miss? What do you want to see next? Let us know in the comments, and as always, please like and subscribe.